The Bears versus Bengals game got off to a rocky start. I mean, Caleb Williams' offense was struggling, but if you looked in the Hard Knocks episode, there was issues, him hearing the play calling through the helmet and stuff. There was issues with that. So maybe that gives a little more insight and a little perspective on why things were looking so sluggish and, incompletion passes and all that stuff. It just didn't look right. Against, backup players, especially with the Bengals not playing their starters. But Caleb Williams, he got through that. And that was a great thing about letting that offense play the whole first half. You got to see them struggle, but you also got to see them turn things around. And that's what it's all about. Getting your rookie guys reps. I mean, Rome Odunze, Caleb Williams, that's the connection we want to see. That's what we've been waiting to see. And I think Rome Odunze had a really good performance against the Bengals. The end around, that run, decent gain, showed, the speed. It looked a little slow because of long strides, but the speed was definitely there, making plays in, all different areas on the field offensively. And then he had that beautiful catch. Caleb Williams, that throw was amazing. He evaded pressure and then rolled out to his left and then threw a fucking dime. But the catch was just as good, just as impressive because, he couldn't see. The defender had his hand in the way, and it's just a beautiful catch. I also think that touchdown would have been perfect. It was a perfect throw from Caleb Williams, rolling out to the right, evading pressure again, and just throwing a damn strike on the run to the end zone. And I really think, the end zone, I know it was an excuse he said, but the end zone lining, how it was, done the night before, the day of the game really fucked over that touchdown. Because if you look at the end zone before and how it looked for the game, that would have fucked me up too. But nonetheless, Rome Odunze had a great performance. Really like what I saw from him. And that's what we expected to see from him. We wanted to see something like that in the preseason, especially just those flashes of why we drafted you. A playmaker, a guy that can come down with 50-50 balls, a guy that can make every catch, a guy that can, has the speed. He could be a punt returner. He can, do end arounds from time to time. So really like what I saw from Rome. Kyler Gordon was smacking shit. 4 tackles, 2 TFLs. He had a sack too. Oh my goodness. He almost killed the Bengals backup quarterback. Straight up clapped him on a blitz. Didn't see it coming. It's just kind of funny that Eberflus is doing corner blitzes in the preseason games with your starters against the backups. But nonetheless, really liked what I saw from Kyler Gordon. He was hooping. And since he got back from injury and now he's fully healthy, it's just that different mentality, that mindset. I mean, this guy, he could be the best corner in the game, man. He has all the traits, all the tools. He can cover. He could tackle. He could tackle in space. He could get interceptions, and he can hit. He can deliver a blow. You saw him have like 2 or 3 hard hits out there. So this is going to be a big year for Kyler Gordon. Really excited to see him take it to the next level, be an all-pro player, get in the Pro Bowl, do something, because every year he's getting better and better. And it's just about, staying healthy for him and Brisker. Those guys usually miss a couple games during the season. But if he can play all 17 games, he can lead us in interceptions and he can make the Pro Bowl, I think. Daniel Hardy, though, I think this is a guy that's got to make the roster. He had 2.5 sacks against, Buffalo, and then had a sack against the Bengals. Beautiful spin move. This is a guy that's, doing the same things that we see Booker doing. Booker obviously is getting more praise because, he has the Mad Max, that Max Crosby comparison. Just plays so relentless. He's so fun to watch. You could see him, jump off the film, jump off the tape. But Daniel Hardy, he's more of an underrated player, under the radar kind of guy. But he's just making just as many plays as Booker is. So I really think he should make this 53-man roster. I would take him over Khalid Kareem. Maybe Don Robinson. He's been having a good camp, but Hardy, if he has another good performance, if he has another game where he has at least 1 or 2 sacks, you got to put him on the roster. So those are the 3 biggest winners. I think Hardy, Rome Odunze, and Kyler Gordon, those 3 guys played out of their minds. Bagent had a good performance. He looked like he could start for another team. Maybe some teams start calling for Bagent. Things get, shitty over in Vegas with the Raiders, with Gardner Minshew and O'Connell not playing to the level. they should be playing. They might call for Bagent. Who knows? But Dante Pettis, man, I think he made a case for him making the roster. He had a great performance. 3 catches, 50-some yards, 2 touchdowns. Route technician. All right. One thing about him, he's going to run a damn good route. He had a couple good fade routes that he had. Pretty nice. Perfectly ran. And then Bagent just, threw a fucking dime to him. So it was good seeing Bagent play how he played. Because the first couple games, it's like, all right, Brett Rippon played really well in the Hall of Fame game. Bagent really didn't do much. But in this last game, he really showed us, like, look, I've done this before. I went 2-2 in 4 games as an undrafted free agent. I'm the backup quarterback. QB2 is me. So, and Dante Pettis, I think he's made a case for him to make the roster as well. Colin Johnson, Dante Pettis, I think those would be the last 2 rosters behind Scott. Keenan Allen, Rome, and DJ Moore. I would go 6 receivers, Pettis and Johnson. Those are 2 guys I would have. I'd probably put them over Velus. Velus, probably practice squad guy if you don't have him as a 4th running back on the roster. So I thought this was a great game. Another dominating performance for the Bears. The Bears are 3-0 in the preseason so far. So great performance from the defense. Great performance from the offense. Second half, they got shit going. Shane Waldron, this offense has been cooking. And Eric Washington and Eberflus. I like what I see from this defense. And every game, I feel like the Bears have had the better second and third strings, than the other team that they're playing. The Bills and the Bengals, they completely dominated them. The Texans game, it was a little closer, but the Bears got the job done and finished that one off. So really happy with what I've seen from the starters. I saw them overcome adversity, and I, saw the second stringers, third stringers have good performances. Now for the preseason game against the Chiefs, none of the starters are playing. There's still some things I want to see, though. I mean, Velus Jones, Ian Wheeler. I don't think there should be any reason that Roshan and Herbert get any carries. We know what we're getting from them. Allow them to rest this game. Ian Wheeler and Velus Jones, I want to see them all game. I want to see those 2 guys get carries, and let's see who's going to win that RB4 competition. One of those guys is going to compete for a roster spot, and if Ian Wheeler continues to, show he can run the ball, catch the ball, be an impact player in the receiving game, and he could return. He could do everything that you need a running back to do. Can be valuable in special teams as well. Velus Jones, this is the last opportunity. If he has a good performance, you're probably going to lean more towards keeping him because he's a 3rd-round draft pick. But in terms of just getting the right guys, keeping the right guys on this roster, Ryan Poles says it's hard to make this roster. You need to reward the players that are actually doing what they're supposed to do. The players that are working their ass off and that are having a good training camp and having a great preseason over guys that you spend a high draft pick on. So hopefully Ian Wheeler gets a shot to, prove himself one more preseason game and gets a, huge workload. I also want to see the defensive line continue to get after it. Booker, I want to see him get a lot of snaps, a lot of reps, because he's getting better and better every game, getting more confident. So another game where he has a sack, that would just continue to help him reach that potential and be a big impact player in his rookie season. Daniel Hardy, want to see him get after it and handle some business. Dom Robinson, want to see him get after it. I want to see the defensive line go out there and, have another dominant performance, an 8-sack performance. That would be insane. Secondary, there are some good competitions, with those corner spots, those last remaining corner spots. Greg Stroman Jr., he's been solid. Blackwell had a really good performance against the Bengals. Reddy Stewart, there's a lot of, guys in that back end on that depth chart that could make this roster. And, you could make an argument for every one of those guys. So I want to see the competition heat up in this last game. Want to see those guys make some plays, get some turnovers, some interceptions, just make some huge plays and help them get closer to that roster spot. This team's really fun to watch, no matter who's in the game. So I'm excited to see the defense get after it. Brett Rippon, Austin Reed. I want to see Austin Reed get out there and get some snaps. The last game he didn't get any snaps, but he's been a superstar in Hard Knocks. Personality has been crazy. One of the fan favorites. I want to see him get out there and be able to get a couple drives. This is a guy that's Western Kentucky. Numbers wise, he was putting up as good as numbers as Caleb Williams and some of the top quarterbacks in FBS. So him out there with the opportunity, throwing the ball, Dante Pettis. So I think he deserves a real shot in this last game to prove himself and maybe be a practice squad guy. I personally would put him on the practice squad. Him and Brett Rippon. Brett Rippon will probably not make the roster. Really hasn't been doing much since a Hall of Fame game, but nonetheless. But overall, I want to see the defense continue to play to the level they've been playing, and offensively, I want to see the smooth, crisp offensive game plan. I want to see Waldron continue to, show little flashes and bits and pieces of what this offense will look like during the regular season. And I want to see some of those guys go out there and have a big day. Another Dante Pettis performance or an Ian Wheeler 2-touchdown performance. I want to see somebody have a dominant day on both sides of the ball, offensive guy and a defensive guy. Let's go out there and blow out the Chiefs. But I would want him to get an extension done with, Keenan Allen. I would want him to stay with the Chicago Bears for maybe 2 or 3 more years because he's coming off his best season last year with the Chargers.